it's trying, and it says we're live.
It
Change
lies.
colors. Yeah, there it goes.
Okay, let's get started, shall we? If you like to keep the heat running, because the frost was thick this morning.
We are not in the 60s like Arcade.
No, it was cold. And when I get up this morning to take the dogs out, I'm not a happy camper.
Dogs aren't particularly happy either.
No, they weren't. They're small.
Yeah.
If you like coffee, King Harvest Imperial Coffees. If you order from them, you might try the Blanket Fort Blend, and be sure to let them know you heard about it here.
Or the Rack Press blend.
Or the Rack Press Blend. We would like them to make sure that that they are happy to continue to send us coffee, because I'm drinking the Uganda blend right now, and I'm a happy man.
I already killed all the geisha.
If for t-shirts with sayings, tinyurl.com among the leaves tees. Friend of ours, actually Jim, if you know him, if you order a t-shirt from him, be sure you let him know you heard about it here.
They're not foul and abusive, but some of them will make you think.
Some will make you blink.
Yeah. So we are gathered here today.
All rants are entertaining. No, they're not all.
Yeah.
Hey, Farm Girl. Hey, Don.
It's getting close to Christmas.
Oh, God.
So everybody is frantically trying to shop.
I've got to read it, so.
Yeah. Ordering stuff on Amazon may or may not work right now, because Amazon went out on strike today, the drivers.
What?
Yeah.
That's why my presents to Johan aren't going to make it in time for Christmas.
Yep.
Also,
That was
I have
strategic.
words for companies that won't ship to active duty service members.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they have a complicated address.
Yeah.
And I have had two
No,
problems.
APOs or an FPO. It's not that complicated.
It's like multiple lines in order to get it on base and to him, because he's on a training base.
Yeah.
So I have had two issues. One was actually with our post office, and the other was with a company that I had ordered something to have sent to him, and it got returned to them because they abbreviated the address.
Yeah.
And removed some important information. I will never again order from Adagio Tea.
I had a box of
Adagio
cookies that followed me around for 4 years.
Oh my!
Cookies.
Petrified by the time they finished.
Finally got delivered.
Or crumbs.
They were crumbs. They were 4 years old, and they were inside the 5th box. And they were delivered in Italy when they had originally been sent to California.
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. Playing pinball with the cookies.
I figure sending the kid stuff is going to just be an adventure for the next 5 years or however long he decides to stay in.
Just do it to the post office. That's
Yeah,
the post office screwed it up.
Yeah. Do not, whatever you do, from the bottom of my heart, do not use DHL.
No, God, no.
Whatever you do, if you're sending to military folks, don't use DHL.
No.
Amazon has been reliably getting stuff to him, and we actually did an order through Walmart, and that one got to him too. But our post office locally here addressed the package to him to 1 Crystal Lake Road, Groton, Connecticut. And I'm sorry, but that's like front gate of the base, and they're like,
and the front gate's not, the front gate's not going to accept it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
Before I get to my rant, the other interesting piece of news is AT&T has now dumped remote work and says everybody has to come back in the office 5 days a week. One of the biggest issues with telling people they have to come back to the office is the people that have moved out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? They no longer even live where the office is.
Well, and we've argued before about making the departments go to different states.
Yeah.
And I think DOGE should go like, oh, look, here's a low cost of living. We're going to stick the department there and require that you be in office.
Yes.
That'll make some jobs in some places that'll make voters very happy.
Yeah.
And, I've got
Eastern Europe's one thing, Winkle Red. Stateside, no.
The only issue, or no, not the only issue, the big issue I have with DHL is the fact that they have a onboard staff of Chinese and Russian spies.
Yep.
And if you come up on a list, Ivan Vatnik or Shu Chan Shu will be the one delivering. I got
Isn't
Yeah.
DHL the one with the really weird founder?
that doesn't narrow
Okay.
it down a lot, but yeah, the and also the DHL, God bless him, Vatnik is not real clear about U.S. addresses.
Yeah.
I ordered a scarf for Rita from Morocco. I wanted her to have a Moroccan scarf, and holy gods, Ivan Vatnik screwed that address up something fierce, and I put it in on the order form, and then when Ivan Vatnik at DHL got a hold of the order form, he just went all Scrabble with the address.
Yeah. So the other issue is, yes, some of the offices have closed. There aren't seats for the staff. That's true. But when you look at the number of offices that are less than 5% manned, person, whatever you want to call it, and they are paying for 6, 7, 8 floors. The amount of money those companies are wasting is just amazing. And I'm not even going to get into how much the government is wasting on that.
And I'd like y'all may remember this before on remote work for private companies. Knock yourselves out. You got folks like Cedar or Rita that can work remotely because they're conscientious.
Yeah.
Cedar
Ding.
will do 110% of the work. Rita will too. If they're working remotely, they'll do 110% of the work.
And there are ways to manage a remote team.
Yeah.
I actually have a really good boss right now. Part of the reason I've stayed in a sucky contract has been my boss is great.
Yeah.
But there are an awful lot of managers. Well, there are a lot of managers who are manager in title only. They don't know how to lead a team to begin with.
Mhm.
And as soon as that team isn't in their direct sight, they really are out of their depth.
The first actual remote work that I ran across prior to COVID was sheriff's offices. The lieutenants could work remotely,
Yeah.
and I'm here to tell you that was and is a screaming failure. Yeah, but I don't have an issue with private companies. Knock yourselves out. The government, they need to get their happy asses. And
Again, I think there are probably certain roles. Friend of mine is just now landing a job as a patent examiner.
Yeah.
And that is a job where he's going to be reviewing documentation all day, every day. He doesn't
Well-
actually need to be in a paid for by the government office.
Yeah.
He can be working that one from home. Now, does he have to have it? Should there be management and SOPs in place for him to have metrics that he hits?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually the big problem with this is a lot of government bureaucrats, it doesn't matter if they're in the office or out of the office, their job is secure if they never actually do their job.
Yeah. But that also causes problems.
Yes.
I can give you examples of that. We
Mhm.
had Pax River went to 9-day pay periods. So every other Friday was an off day.
Ah, okay.
okay,
Meetings would be scheduled that we needed people at on a Friday, and they didn't show up.
this is day off.
It was their day off. Or they would schedule a meeting on Friday, not thinking about who in their offices were off. And we would go down there, which was a 2-hour drive,
Mhm.
show up for the meeting, and the people we needed weren't there.
Yep, but like Racketeer Press.
Yeah.
Racketeer Press. The majority of my folks are working remotely.
Yeah.
From Florida and Kansas or Missouri and Houston.
But they all have ethics.
I know.
They are all working.
They're all busting their butts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
Well, in
that's-
our case, that's the other thing. You get into the classified world, You can't work classified remotely.
Oh no.
Not unless you turn your house into a skiff and whoo-hoo.
Yeah.
No. That kind of work needs to be kept separate from
Yeah.
home life, because there are definitely jobs where you have to be.
Yeah.
Until I was just paperwork when I worked in the lab, I wasn't going to bring the lab home with me, and I
Yeah.
was kind of glad to be able to leave the lab, especially when I've been boiling off ether all damn day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Rick, that's exactly it. It was a management failure on NavAir's part, and they finally realized it after I retired. So
yeah. Well, and that I think is part of the solution too, is make it easier to fire the government employees.
Yeah.
So you actually have metrics, you make them hit their metrics, and if they don't,
I suspect with the oncoming Doge department
I am
that
so looking forward to that.
there's going to be some self-selecting. And that just tickles me pink.
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to what happens.
There's going to be
And-
some self-selecting.
oh yeah, Rick, that's the other point. Keeping work and home life separate.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's been in the military trying to do that, which leads into my rant today.
Go, Jim, go.
The friggin' GAO has come out and said that the Navy has wasted $1.84 billion since 2015 on rehabbing its Ticonderoga class cruisers. Funds that should have been spent on newer technology, according to the government watchdog. Said there was weak oversight, plagued with problems with scheduling delays, wasted cost, and poor quality work. Okay. The short answer is Congress and Congress. The push-pull on the budgeting and games of who and where the upgrades were to be done have yanked ships and crews all over the place. I know of one cruiser that was scheduled, quote unquote, to be modded in San Diego. And they went, oh, well, yeah, never mind. We're actually going to have you go to Bremerton, Washington. So they uprooted the entire crew and moved them to Bremerton, Washington. You know how much that costs to move over 200 people. The other thing is, a number of those cruisers, because of Congress, were made to go cold iron for over a year. When you go cold iron, everything is shut down. You don't even do basic maintenance. You basically keep the boat from sinking at the pier. The next problem, and this all goes back to sequestration, because under Obama, the Navy ship community, specifically DDs and crewdes, were losing $450 million a year in maintenance funds, because that was the cut that was declared. So anybody was getting maintenance, they were getting the basic maintenance, nothing else, move on. Well, your maintenance availabilities are scheduled for a specific period of time. So when you have ships that come in that have extra stuff that needs to be done, that extends their time in the maintenance period. And there's also these things called software and hardware upgrades on ships and submarines. And it might be something like software upgrade 7 is what's in the contract, and hardware upgrade 5. But that contract got slipped 2 years, or it got slipped 4 years. Well, now that software upgrade 7 and that hardware upgrade 5 have been replaced by software upgrade 9 and hardware upgrade 7 or 8. Now the contractor has to go back, get a contract mod, which means they have to get new funding. They have to retrain workers ad infinitum. To my knowledge, and this was in 2016, we did not have at that time a single class of ships that all had the same systems and hardware aboard. Not the crewdes, which is cruisers and destroyers, not the amphibs, none of them. The original schedule for a lot of these upgrades was 2 years, but it's taken 4 years in the yards, or in the case of the George Bush, I think it took over 5, because all that work that was postponed back in the early 2010s now has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Postponing something doesn't mean it goes away.
No, and it only gets worse. So you get this leather wrench repeat time after time after time. That's where the money went. And, oh, by the way, you can no longer really send somebody TAD, temporary active duty, from one ship to another, because you broke it.
Wow.
Because the kid may get to the ship and it's got different hardware, different software. Oh, and the other thing, thank you, RK. The other thing that they have to do is they have to reballast the ships on many occasions, which means in some cases taking out 18 tons of ballast or adding 18 tons of ballast. That is more art than it is science. So that boat is technically still in the shipyard, still in the dry dock, even though it's underway, checking to see how good the ship's balance is at sea. Yeah, Congress thinks they can get a baby in 18 months by feeding a mom half the calories she needs. Yep. Or get 3 women pregnant and have a baby in 3 months. Yeah.
I'm not breaking anything. I just fingernail clippers. I was opening fingernail clippers and they spontaneously disassembled.
Yeah.
As they do.
Seriously, I was opening it, it flew apart.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, Greg. It's it screwed up everything. TD wise, I'm not even going to go into that. I saw so many of those, but the whole thing with the crudes and the amphibs, they're in the same boat now, which it needs Horry Stone or 3. Amphibs are in the same boat, which now limits the amount of Marines that we can put underway at any time.
I fixed them. They didn't break. They just spontaneously disassembled. I was opening them up and they flew apart. I don't know why.
Chinese finger customer again. He would figure out how to tear those up too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But this is endemic of the blame that ends up getting put on the Navy and the officers and the people in the Navy, when the Navy had nothing to do with it other than trying to respond to Congress.
It's just Congress.
And it's the same thing with the Air Force, same thing with the Army, same thing with the Coast Guard, same thing with the Marines.
If Congress is involved and there's a problem, it's Congress's fault.
Yeah.
Just sorry.
I know of one case on the F-35 where a Marine colonel pilot was fired from the pre-production team because he looked at the second engine that was being proposed, not needed, but proposed, because a Congress critter needed something in his district. And he went, "This is stupid. We don't need this engine. This engine does not deliver any more power. It does not do anything else. It's a sop. It's a political sop. That's all it is." And he said that in a meeting.
And that was less than
A week later, he was off the F-35 program.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I had a friend of mine that I worked with, 06, in the submarine community, who told the truth in a meeting and was told by Admiral Kinnear after the meeting, "You might as well retire because you just cost yourself admiral." And he was on the fast track.
What the hell is wrong with these things?
Send toys, Jesse.
I don't want to hear about it, Don.
Yes, Sean, it was a
Not
G
my
second
fault.
sourcing attempt. You're right.
It's not my fault. I don't know what the hell's wrong with these things.
Yeah. Congress is the opposite of progress. Yes.
And speaking of Congress, I understand that Eye Patch McCain, a.k.a. Dan Crenshaw, is losing his tiny little mind.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some of those tweets. Man is
Well, he's a rhino.
not a nice man.
He's been a rhino for a long time.
Mhm.
We love Dawn. She's so irrepressible. If you look at irrepressible in the dictionary,
Yeah.
Dawn's face is right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Chinese intolerance is on the hook post. Yeah. That was the hook foot, but yes.
It's easy enough to put back together. I won't touch it. If it's gonna freak y'all out, I won't touch it anymore.
Yeah, Raptor. Tomcat did stand up in front of Congress and told them the truth about the F-111B program. But the Navy was still required to take 12 of them to make a squadron, so the aircraft could be claimed to have been a joint service aircraft.
Why is the big thing about joint service aircraft? Why is that a big thing?
Funding.
Oh, of course.
If it's purple,
So, yes.
it sells better.
Ah. My officer got over his butt hurt because I stacked snacks on him when he fell asleep in dispatch.
Hey, it was snacks. It could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Trust me on this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Crenshaw got into a spat because apparently Eye Patch McCain, part of that massive continuing resolution that has to be passed to keep the government funded, or what the hell ever.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of the stuff of the pork in that, was it 1,500 pages?
Yeah, 1,500 pages that they wanted to vote on 12 hours later.
Yeah, was Eye Patch McCain sneaking in a pay raise for Congress, and he got caught.
$70,000 a year pay raise.
Yeah,
he got caught, and him's big mad. Him's big mad. I'm kind of ashamed that guy's from Texas.
Yeah,
he doesn't like me. That's for damn sure. Because somehow I wrote an open letter to him on my blog, and somehow I think, where is Jesse? Somehow it wound up on his Facebook page.
Yeah.
And apparently, Eye Patch McCain does not like Law Dog.
Yeah. Yeah, Greg, you are correct. It was out of McNamara, and the Navy did not need their own separate system for an airplane. Of course, you got to remember, McNamara was head of Ford before he came over, so everything was assembly line. Don't get me started on that motherfucker. Pardon my language.
Wow. They haven't had a pay raise in 15 years.
Yeah.
Who hasn't had a pay raise in 15
World's
years?
smallest
Congress?
violin playing My Heart Bleeds.
Congress hasn't had a pay raise in 15 years?
That's what Sean said.
No, that's bullshit. They've had a number of pay raises.
I don't care if they have them or not. I don't care.
Somebody on X was asking, what should Congress be paid? And I did not respond, but thought, what's the average, the median income of American family?
Yeah.
Last time I looked, it was like $57,000.
Yeah.
And that seems like a perfectly good number for Congress to be paid.
Well, it's like military pay. You know, you show me 63,000. It went up a little bit.
Inflation.
Yeah. Show me a company with 200, 250 people in it. What does that CEO make?
I don't know. Can't find out. I'm a CEO and I don't know.
Yeah. Usually went up well in excess of $250,000 a year.
Okay.
What does a squadron commander in the military or a company commander in the military make?
68,000?
68 to 75,000. Yeah. So, and that business owner is not putting his butt on the line and getting shot at.
No.
You know, I think Congress critters ought to be pulled back to an equivalent of a military salary.
I think I quite honestly think
that's reasonable. I was just going with average American person because that gives Congress the incentive to raise the average American family's
Well,
income because it affects their income.
I
If we
think
tied
that
it,
considering the perks they get, I think representatives should be paid the 03 salary, and that senators should be paid 05 salary. I think their health care should be taken care of by the VA.
Yep.
oh yes, oh yes.
That they should be they should have to use the BX, PX, and Shopettes.
Yep.
That they can use their congressional ID cards to get on a military base and go get their hair cut. That's just me.
I had to go to the VA this morning. There were a bunch of us grumpy old farts there this morning. I could just imagine some Congress critter walking into the VA
Oh Lord.
and
Well,
seeing a bunch like we had this morning.
But that's the other thing too, which is, I mean, we all know that the VA, Lord help us, is a representative of socialized medicine.
Yeah.
And I mean, I knew that it was not great, and then I got really up close and personal with it about 2 years ago.
VA giving every veteran the second chance to die for their country.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, what?
And actually advocating for said, given some of the interactions I've had with doctors and my
Yeah.
husband.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing, which is, again, if we make Congress accountable by something like linking their pay to the average family income, if we make them go actually have to sit with the grumpy old veterans,
Yeah.
their perspective is going to change.
Oh. And when I say you have to use the VA, I don't mean you get to walk into Walter Reed. I mean, if you're Eye Patch McCain and you get a splinter, you have to fly your happy butt home and walk into the VA that services your district.
Well, here's the thing. We've been here in this area 3 years,
Holy
and
crap,
my
you have?
husband has yet
I
to
missed
meet
2
his
years.
primary care provider in person.
Yeah.
His primary care provider does a little video meeting with him.
Yep.
So Congress can do the little video meetings from DC with their primary care provider wherever in God's name they happen to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have no objection to that.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think personally that this is any way to conduct a doctor, but what do I know?
Yeah.
But Ian, there's no Veterans Administration center in my area. I have to go to Walter Reed. There's an Indian hospital somewhere. Go there.
Yeah.
Well, there are VAs all over the place. There are little VA satellite clinics, and then there's the community care stuff.
Yeah.
And we've had stellar community care, and we've also had abysmal
Yeah.
community care. He was supposed to get cardiac rehab. They never called us. And I didn't even know where I was supposed to call. So
Second
I could
chance to die for your country.
Yeah.
So, fortunately,
I actually have,
we have other
somewhere,
options there. But
if I were to dig it up, I actually have a reason to go to the VA, and I'll never go. I mean, I did some damage. I got damage done to me when I was in. So I could go have a whole bunch of stuff. No, it's just cheaper to go here.
Yeah.
I get better care.
yeah,
Yeah, the VA is deploying mobile units. That's the mobile clinics. That is true,
mhm.
and that's the new thing to try to reach out to those in the rural areas.
Yeah. Dad, when he was working for the VA hospital, they had him running a little satellite clinic.
Yeah.
He did, he was a phlebotomist and he ran EKGs.
Yeah.
So having him be able to do, Dad was also a paramedic and an EMT for 30 years. So,
I'm just a phlebotomist running EKGs.
well, he
Just
did
really-
both. He was
Oh,
certified to
okay,
do
okay,
both,
okay.
not the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that'll do something to the EKG if you're coming at somebody with a needle while you've got it.
The VA's really cutting. You're a phlebotomist. Here's your 12 lead.
Yeah.
They're
What
really
they
cutting.
did? Dad, when he first started working for the VA hospital, little tiny VA hospital in Manchester, New Hampshire, his office, his phlebotomy office,
Hey, Julie.
was his,
Hmm?
and
Yeah.
he had that decorated in bats
Oh, geez.
because he was the resident vampire.
Of course.
That's perfect.
So it wasn't like vampire stuff, but it was like bats.
Yeah.
And they made him take it all down about 5 years before he was finally done with them because they decided that they didn't want anyone having any kind of personal decorations.
Yeah.
which was their way of getting around. Somebody had been bitching about somebody's, I'm
course.
sure. Whether
Of
it was
course.
Dad's bats, probably not.
Probably
something
somebody
else.
put Christmas stuff up.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it was just like he went from having a fun office where he could have people come in and get comfortable,
Yeah.
because again, he's coming at them with a needle, to this bare, sterile.
One needle.
Yeah.
And knowing Dad, he probably did stuff like that. My
Well,
dad's sense of humor is potentially worse than you two.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, you always get good and bad. Good and bad. I would not go into the VA Dallas if my life depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
VA Oklahoma City's not bad.
VA Oklahoma City is
It's
good.
It's patchy.
I don't know about Amarillo now, but Amarillo back in the day was one of the better VA hospitals. I don't know about now.
Yeah.
Back in the late '90s, early 2000s, the VA hospital in Amarillo was stellar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
These days, who knows?
Yeah. The VA OKC, you never ever want to go see their cardiovascular surgeon. Just don't. Find somebody else if you want to stay alive.
Yeah. VA El Paso sucks. Yeah.
VA Amarillo was good in 2004. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
90s and early aughties, VA Amarillo was excellent.
But like anything else, people change.
Yeah.
People move around.
People, and quite seriously, much as I hate on the VA, and trust me, I hate on the VA, who's in the Oval Office tends to have a big impact. And Obama didn't like Amarillo. So what happened to the Amarillo office, Amarillo VA, during those 8 years?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Dan, that's any doctor's office now. If you got, they have that list of questions they have to ask.
My doctor's got given up.
Yeah. Well,
Ian, do you have any guns at the house? Doc, like got guns in your office right now.
Yeah.
God damn it, Ian! What?
Well, I like my old doctor that I had up in Virginia, because he and I would discuss guns in the office.
Doc Tavini,
and he would show me his.
Doc Tavini's not quite that relaxed yet, but he's starting to get used to me.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. McMurtry. What are you grouchy about today?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Not wrong.
It's a Medicare questionnaire. Yeah. That's interesting, Dot.
It's
required to have a behavioral person on staff.
Well, Dr. Tavini's nurse handed me a new questionnaire to fill out last time I saw her. Went in there. She said, "Don't yell at us. It's not our fault." Like, what? Then I saw him. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you? Yeah, it's new.
Well,
the questions are stupid.
Yeah. It was about like when we all went up and got the COVID shot, and they had us all sitting in a room and we were going at each other as you do with a bunch of other services represented. And that poor little girl went running out of the room thinking we were going to try to kill each other in the room. And the doctor came in and went, "What are you guys doing?"
Is this the trifecta of dumbass nurse? No, Sharon retired. God bless her. Sharon 2.0 is still working in the emergency department at the big hospital in Ichipa. Holy crap! It's I first met Sharon, trifecta of dumbass Sharon, in 2000.
Yeah.
And she hadn't worn the shiny off her RN badge yet. That was like her first or second patient. Poor thing.
Rick, this little girl was probably a brand new RN and had apparently just hired on with the VA. So she was not used to having a 6'19" by 6'19" wide black guy over a little short Mexican with his fist doubled up.
Poor Sharon. I rolled into her ER. She was the one assigned to me, and I was a pile of blood, hurt, and pissed off. I was a mess. That was January of 2000. I was a mess.
Well, Jesse, have a good Christmas if we don't see you next week.
And wound up with, and when I say hundreds, in the ER, I wound up with hundreds of staples and hundreds of stitches, and straight to ICU. And God, I was pissed. I was pissed off and annoyed. And Doc Mercer, bless his heart, love the man, great doc, hammered a staple into my skull by accident. And was then figured out that it had been 2 hours and nobody given me any painkiller.
Oops.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't griping about it. I was bitching because my pickup was a mess.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. If you are like me and cannot lay on your back to get an MRI, there is such a thing as a stand-up or sit-down MRI that is vertical,
Woohoo!
that's open.
Yeah, thank
It's
God.
not a closed MRI.
Thank God for open MRIs now.
Yeah. So if you have to have an MRI done and you have back problems or you have neck problems, if you can find a stand-up MRI, I would strongly recommend it. Now, granted, I'm going to have to drive probably an hour and a half to get to the thing, which is not going to be fun, but it's better than the option.
The thing is, where he's driving to has a Bass Pro,
Yeah.
a Coco Ichibanya, and a Nando's.
And isn't that also the place? It's very close anyway, where that lovely Middle Eastern buffet,
Yes,
Afra, is.
It is, as a matter of fact. So I will dump his happy butt in a MRI.
Yeah.
I'll go get something to eat.
Thanks, asshole. See what I get for friends?
Uh-huh.
They're sitting here laughing at me.
Uh-huh.
I can hardly move. I get laughed at.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Ouch. Yeah, the beard is looking good. The rest of me, not so much. Ouch.
He punctuates it.
I was just going, I didn't feel like shaving this week. So I've got a lot of scratchy through here. I'm trying to decide if I want to keep it or just go back to the goat.
Yeah.
They're not laughing at you. They're laughing because of you.
Well, that too. Yeah. Understood, Greg. Yeah, those questions though, they're mandated in any doctor's office. And your answers are always no, no, and no.
No, I answer them honestly, but I will write out a paragraph.
Yeah.
I will I did, that poor nurse. I did a line through the yes, no, and wrote a response.
Yeah.
And she goes, "It's Ian."
Yeah.
Because they know me, and I gotta find a dentist. And so far, I need to have my teeth cleaned, and I hate having my teeth cleaned. So I've been calling, and I say, okay, I would like to inquire about becoming a customer of yours. And they're all like, oh, yes. What would you like to know? I said, if I tell you that I'm a redhead, what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
And I get silence. Nope, I am not using you. Sooner or later, I'll find Dr. King, bless his heart. When I called and said I'm a redhead, he said, oh, we're going to double a Novocaine on you. Yes, I will go with him. I can't find one that knows about redheads and pain tolerance and anesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, Padre, that's that answer probably has them going, huh?
Wants to know. Yeah, they didn't bother. Yeah, when they had all the new questions that you got it, that the yes, no, or you feel, have you ever felt suicidal? Are you depressed right now? Line through, I'm in a screaming loads of pain. What do you think?
Yeah.
Question mark. She looked at the pronouns, looked at me, and just turned it over the clipboard and went on to the next.
Yeah. Anymore, she walks in and goes, no, no, and no. Right. Yep. Okay. Next.
Yeah, we need to find a dentist for Sanford.
We can talk about that after it's over.
Yeah.
I know who I'd recommend.
Well, there's another thing to tack onto the medical care rant, which is because I was looking at dental insurances.
Yeah.
Dental insurances will cover up to generally $1,000 worth of work.
Yeah.
Sometimes really generously and for a price, $1,500 worth of work.
Yep.
When you're talking about serious dental work, and that's if they even cover any kind of orthodontic stuff.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And when you're talking about serious dental work, $1,000 is a drop in the bucket.
That's
Yeah.
that's starting out.
And the thing is that dental health is, I mean, we all treat it as if it's cosmetic, and that's the culture. It is very much not.
Mm-mm.
I have a cousin, granted a distant cousin. I think she was like third cousin, but she had an infected tooth, and it went to her brain and killed her.
Oh
She
yeah,
was
I've
30,
abscess. Yeah,
32, 33.
It's well established that dental health ties directly to cardiac health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Um,
it's an easy way to get bacteria in your bloodstream, and then
It's
that
real- it's real
inevitably
close,
winds
yeah.
up in your heart.
well,
Oh,
Jonna
Tiffany,
having
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
having her teeth cleaned gave her pericarditis.
Yeah.
And I've got
Yeah. And that's, I mean, but this is the thing is that dental is treated like no
Yeah.
big deal, or you don't
Yeah.
actually have to see a dentist.
Now,
I mean,
Well, I
most of
need
my
to.
life, I've never been to a dentist on a regular basis. The last time I saw a dentist, the dentist is required to do certain kinds of work.
Yeah.
Well, this dentist did the preliminary work as far as the cavities and such, and then her incompetent assistant came in and finished it up, and I have problems with my teeth because she did not do her job right.
Yeah.
Yes,
well, I've been real lucky. I have most of my own teeth.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of crowns. I broke a crown like Winklered did
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
Well, Sanford's tooth loss is partially military
Yeah.
related, but will they do anything about it? They will not.
Yeah.
Nope.
But I'm being retired. I've got Delta Dental, so I get a break there.
Mm-hmm.
But I get 2 cleanings a year free.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is that you can generally get the preventative stuff, the cleaning stuff for free or inexpensive, but when you actually need work done, good luck with it. We got an email from USAA saying, "Hey, do you want dental insurance?" And I'm like, "Let me look and see what they offer." And no, I mean, there is no point in me spending $40-$50 a month when it's not even going to be a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Well, I need to have my teeth cleaned. I do.
Yeah.
And checked. But redhead for those you don't know, redheads are squirrely in more ways than one.
Yeah.
We have a weird pain tolerance. Some pains we register very low, and some we register very high. And tooth pain for redheads rates pretty high.
Yeah.
Tooth pain and thermal pain. We don't require as much opiates, but we require a hell of a lot more Novocaine.
Yep.
So for people that aren't redheads, the amount of Novocaine to deaden a tooth is about half what I need. And when you try to tell doctors in the middle, "Hey, this isn't taking the edge off there, doc," a lot of them just go, "You're fine. You're gonna no." And so I don't go to dentists because I've been told more than once, "You're fine. The tooth's dumb. I've given you a full dose of Novocaine."
Yeah.
Well, Scooter, I've got multiple medical studies here that show I need double the Novocaine, and it's not habit forming. So double up on the Novocaine.
Yeah. Yeah, RK, that's the other thing. If you don't have the teeth worked on and a dental clearance, they're not going to do a replacement body part because there's too much of a risk of infection. I mean, when I had the crown replaced, I was on pretty heavy analgesic and antibiotics for a week prior because the dentist was not going to take a chance. And yes, the military dentist sucked. Rick, I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth pulled one day.
I did too.
And went flying the next. You want to talk about screwed up?
I got a dry socket. I got all 4 pulled at once and got a dry socket.
Yeah.
No, but it's opiates.
Yeah.
You can ask Rita. When I had my kidney stone, they were going to give me Toradol and Darvocet opiate. I told them Toradol, and Toradol knocked most of the edge off, but they said you really need the Darvocet. And I said okay. They started to push it. I told them to stop, and she had just barely pushed any.
Yeah.
And I told her, you got to stop. You got to stop now. And she stopped with just, I mean, like a couple of drops. And she had an entire needle, and it moved maybe a cat whisker. And I went to sleep.
Yeah.
And she, when it's like, you are a wuss. It's like, yes, I am. When it comes to opiates, I have. When Doc Mustafa put my head back together, he had to take a grinder to my skull, and I took Tylenol 3.
Yeah.
He said, "You're going to need. Here is some Ultraset. You're going to need this." I said, "Just give me the Tylenol 3." He said, "No, you're going to need the Ultraset." Nope, Tylenol 3, just fine. And I only took 2 of those.
Yeah. Differ says, I had 5 wisdom teeth. I used to be very wise. Now I'm down to 2 brain cells on a Red Bull.
I mentioned I had in Amarillo before I figured out I couldn't figure out I was allergic to cats at the time. But I had this ginger Tom named Alfred Eugene Caddington Smythe, Alley Cat for short. And that cat had 2 functioning brain cells, and they were fighting for 3rd place.
Ow, Ted, 19 kidney stones? Good God.
Is that's Ted
Ted
Begley.
Begley.
Yep.
Oh,
We didn't know.
that hurts, Stephen. Think
Yeah,
about
no
it.
kidding.
Yeah. We didn't know until Sanford threw one that there was a family tendency towards kidney stones.
Oh, nice.
So, of course, Ted being Sanford's brother,
Yeah.
Sanford has not since had one, and we've been told that there's really nothing we can do until he has another one.
Oh, joy.
With his cardiac condition, another one's likely to kill him.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Destroyer? Eddie Cat is currently living with Chris and being Eddie Cat. So Eddie Cat's a tuxie, and that cat is special. He was the one that when I fainted on the commode and fell face first into his litter box.
Oh no!
I woke up. He was sitting on my head, sitting on my head.
No age.
No.
I was getting dressed because I tend to work in comfy clothes, and then I'll get dressed to actually leave the house. So I was getting dressed to come over here, and my son's cat is laying on the bed and wants my attention, and I'm not paying any attention to her. And all of a sudden, I had a claw delicately inserted in the part of me that wasn't paying attention to her.
Ow.
And I jumped and screamed.
Oh, that's interesting. It appears the inner cat looked like a genius. It appears the 15-year-old girl that shot up the Christian school is a feminazi.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was an alleged manifesto that she put out that is, if it is her, it's wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. You know, I have to ask the question, how in the hell did her parents not see what she was doing?
Apparently
Single father.
Yeah, apparently divorced and bouncing back and forth between the two.
Which is not good for mental health and will lead to
well,
stuff
not only
like
that, but I will guarantee you that most of her parenting was done by Tumblr.
Yep.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, which will lead to stuff like seeking validation in other places than her parents. And I mean, I've gone through this with my kids, and I mean, the divorce was necessary.
Yeah.
And I would not go back and unmake that decision. But it also led to my kids having some mental health issues and struggles. And so I see, I mean, I'm not sympathetic to the decision to go shoot up her school. But it is a mental health thing. It's not a gun control thing. It never has been. The fact that she was being trained to shoot made it easier for her. Because she was evidently, her dad was a shooter, and that was one of the activities that daddy-daughter did. And in fact, she may have made the decision to shoot in order to hurt him because that was something special that they
so big.
shared.
But why kill? If she was a feminazi, why kill two women?
They were in her way.
Targets of opportunity.
But that goes against everything.
No, actually, it doesn't.
She's
The most irate I have had people get at me is when I don't toe the feminist line,
Mhm.
especially because I'm a scientist. I have had people get really ugly with me because I am female, I'm a mother, I'm a scientist, and I don't say what they expect me to say.
Well, I don't know. It's
It's weird.
it seems like all the kids today are medicated out of their ass anyway. They're on something.
It does, and unfortunately, that tends to be the first thing that there's a whole that's a whole rant.
Yeah.
How much time do we have? But it's not just the over medication.
Yeah.
It's the other thing that I'm seeing a lot of, and I got hit on a trigger today with a YouTube video. The guy was talking about microplastics in food, and he's
Yeah.
like, scientifically speaking, we don't know that they have any bad effects, but the graphics that he's showing at the same time is tying the idea of garbage being loaded into our food and drinking water. And I'm like, dude, this is not the way to communicate that microplastics are almost certainly benign.
Nancy says,
But we get a lot of that.
How dare you not be a psychotic man hater?
Well, and that's it. I mean, being divorced, having come out of an abusive relationship, I still very much love my father, my current husband, my son. I am ramrodding the whole boys' books things with Raconteur Press because I like men. And I think that they deserve to succeed starting from boyhood. Which does not mean treating little boys like little girls.
Differs, trust me. If you give Mini Marine coffee, it's not going to quiet him down.
If Mini Marine takes after his mother, it will cause him to pass out.
Oh. If he's got ADD, it'll put him to sleep. Rita
so
is
we're wired backwards.
Rita downloaded one of the boy book submissions, is reading it, and holy crap.
I haven't made time to read that yet. But yeah. No, we're getting some wonderful books for boys.
Yeah, we are.
Good.
And I'm really excited about that because there is a crying need for it. And I keep Mike has been having me answer all the questions on Substack and other places about the boys' books things. So he'll periodically poke me and go, hey, there's questions here. And I'll go and look and see what people are commenting and asking about it. And there's a lot of excitement. And as there should be. I mean, this is so there's an essay by Dorothy Sayers titled Are Women Human?
That's been a question I've had a couple of times.
And she wrote that in the early 20th century with the rise of what we now call first wave feminism. So it was after the suffragettes, before the summer of free love.
Right.
But her thesis, I mean, the title is meant to grab your attention and make you go, huh? Her thesis is basically that women shouldn't be trying to be equal with men, or equals.
Why lower yourself to that level?
Right. It's basically her thesis is that women and men are very different.
Yes.
And trying to make them be the same won't end well. And she was absolutely right. And it's kind of my thing with, I'm not a feminist because what I do, what makes me happy is not the same thing that would make most men happy.
Yeah.
I love cooking and feeding people. That being that is very considered a very feminine trait of nurturing, quite literally. That fulfills me. most guys would rather go out, hunt a deer, drag that home, drop it on their friend's doorstep, and let her deal with butchering it out on her too small kitchen island.
Yeah.
How you doing, Don?
Yeah.
I saw those pictures. I have had the same reaction of mingled, oh, cool, and
No, it's okay. It's so cool, asshole.
Yeah, apparently her back still hurts.
oh my gosh, yes, I can feel that now, and I haven't butchered in 10 years.
Well, that brings up something, and I remember from active duty times. I went through OCS with a number of female officers,
Mhm.
and two of them later ended up on the Women in the Navy committee board by direction. The female PhD who was in charge of the Women in the Navy program refused to have any females in a subservient position. In other words, all of the personnelmen, yeomen, support personnel in the office were all male. Active duty males. And I went up.
I was going to say, so it actually worked efficiently, but that would get me in trouble.
Well, I was actually thinking someone has a power complex and enjoys diminishing men and having them.
Oh,
under
she
her.
did. She did. And I went up to DC for some other meetings. And I called up, and two of them were working in the office. And I said, hey, y'all want to go to lunch? Sure, we'll go to lunch. I said, you want me to come over there? I go, oh, hell no, we'll meet you. Apparently, if a male officer showed up to meet any of the women officers, the female officer was immediately called in and questioned as to who the person was, why they were there, what they were talking about, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
And I mean, honestly, that's what I see a lot with the feminists and the rabid feminists that will openly proclaim themselves to be feminists, is that they are looking for power.
Yeah.
And they will manipulate everyone around them, especially the women,
Yeah.
in aid to that end. And it's women doing power plays gets really nasty and ugly really fast.
Yeah.
Well,
it was to the point. I'll tell you how bad it was. One of the female officers was married.
Mm-hmm.
She took her rings off and never wore her rings to work
Mm-hmm.
because she was married to a male officer.
Mm-hmm.
And never mentioned him in the 2 years she was in that position.
Yep. Probably wise of her.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is such an unhealthy way to.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is, I'm also thinking, and this is why social sciences are in the state that they are.
Yeah.
I actually had one of my previous sheriffs. He had a section that was put together. It turned out to be all of the officers were female. He said, I'm going to put a male in charge, Ian. And I said,
He didn't like you, did he?
He said,
I remember that.
well, no, this is back in the early aughts.
Oh.
And I said, isn't that a little? He said, I've been doing this 40 years. If you have 5 women together, you need to have a male running it. It's like, all right, I'll follow your rules. He wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
He was not wrong.
Rick is correct. Men fight with fists, women fight verbally and with shivs in the back.
Women fight emotionally and they get vicious.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, which is, if we look at it from a perspective of evolutionary biology or evolutionary psychology, women are the ones that have to keep the home fires burning. And that requires a high level of cooperation within the community or the family, depending on how big your tribe is.
Yep.
Men often have to cooperate, team hunting or team sports. I mean, however you want to take that. But their communication is rough and tumble, and you're testing one another on a more physical level, and you talk about the old veteran threatening to hit the other veteran,
the unconscious,
and it's all in fun.
Yeah,
dominance displays are fantastic to watch.
Yeah,
and men don't even realize they're doing it.
And women have got to smile, hide the knife behind their back, and pretend like they're all getting along. Well, they're waiting for that vulnerable point because they don't have the physical strength to overpower their thing. And the whole women as the poisoner. If we go with the detective stories and the mystery stories of
in the Bible,
if it was, well, I mean, there's that too, but it fits with that subtlety, that surreptitious, where you're not looking your enemy in the eye when you confront them. And obviously not all women are like that. However, it is the way that feminine wiles work.
If well, not only that, but women have been hardwired over 100,000 years to do it that way, because women cannot go up against an abusive husband. You know this for a fact.
I know.
But you can slip something in his tea that nobody will.
Yes. And that was, I mean, that was a conflict that I had to have with myself at one point was, I can do this and get away with it. Can I live with myself afterwards? And ultimately, no, I could not. So I walked away instead of putting an end to it.
Don made a couple of statements I need to go back to. Talking about the deer, they were under the impression they were only going to get a quarter.
Yes.
The problem was the guy quartered it before he brought it to them and gave them the whole deer, which
4 quarters.
If
you get 8 quarters, you got 4 of them.
If you have ever tried to basically cut a deer to pieces,
break a deer down.
Break a deer down.
It works a whole lot better if you got the whole thing and you're hanging it.
Well, and you're hanging it.
Yep.
So she and her mother had to break it down
on a counter.
I
saw the pictures of it on the counter.
Well,
and I know that counter, so I know how big it is.
The thing is, I've got a couple of friends and a work daughter, ex-work daughter, that when she gets a deer, she's a hunter. When she gets a deer, she runs the whole thing through a grinder. Which is one way of doing it.
It is one way of doing it.
I prefer to break down my deer into roasts and arms and chucks and some.
And make sure you get the poison sac out.
Yeah, bastards. I'm from Africa. A mammal having a poison sac is not something that I'm going to think, well, hell yeah, I'm from Africa.
But how many people buy that?
I did. My first hunt when I got to the States, I was 17 years old. Hunting mule deer in the Ruby Mountains of Nevada. Got a mule deer, the big ass mule deer. And the hunter I was with said, "Give me a sec, let me take out the poison glands before we I said, okay." I realized the poison glands were the tenderloins. It's like, well, this mammal has a poison gland. Of course it does. I'm from Africa. That happens.
The other point Don made, I've reached the point with one of the people I work with, I just ignore her the majority of the time. And she whines about how mean I am to everyone for it. Well, Dawn, I'm surprised that she's still alive, to be perfectly honest.
Where I'm working now, I'm
platypus, yes, has a poison sac.
Around, here I am around a whole bunch of 80, 90, and 100-year-old women, mostly widows. And the station I work has been in the past manned solely by women. I was the first full-time man ever in this position. And the ladies, the lady that raised from love it. They will wait till I show up. So we've hired another gentleman, and they're tickled pink. And the one lady that works that position is annoyed as hell.
Yeah.
Because they will literally wait. It's like, oh, she's there, and they'll wander off. And it's like, well, I can handle it. No, honey, you're fine.
Yeah.
And then I'll get there, and it's like, I've got this problem. It's fixed. And they'll tell us, well, the gentleman, I talk to the boys, and they fix it. I talk to the ladies, and we've got to discuss it for 2 weeks. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, somebody's not cooking it right. And we've wasted over an hour of your time, folks.
33 people watching, 16 likes.
Well, it was a bunch of rants today.
I'm not even sure it's worthwhile doing these anymore because we can't get likes.
We're not above using guilt.
Hell yes. Guilt, much like spite, guilt gets things done.
Oh,
Oh shit!
yeah,
I took it apart again. Why am I disassembling a?
Because it's there.
it's cheap. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
We will be here Tuesday unless Jim is in Richardson, but probably
Shit,
not
it's
Thursday.
going to be January before I can get down there. I'm
You
pretty
say
sure.
that. You say that. Nando's is calling my name.
He's going to do that to me. He really is.
Yes. I'll have a plate of Nando's waiting. You can
Yeah.
eat, you can eat it on the way home.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
If you're traveling, please be safe out there. And
Watch out for the idiots. They're breeding.
oh yeah, they're breeding. They're on the road. They're driving, and they're tired
Mm.
because they haven't driven anything over half an hour in the last year.
Yep.
They're driving and they're going somewhere they did want to be anyway.
Yeah,
But like I said, guilt gets things done, especially bringing kids to home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Guilt works wonders.
and remember, folks, don't sweat the fetty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we'll see you later.
See you later,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye bye.